So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I just said I wanted to pop on very quickly and continue with the second installment of this scouting series, where we are going to try and look at potential types of right backs that may fit into Unai Emery's system. And today we're going to take a look at a German player playing with RB Leipzig, and he is an RB himself as well, Benjamin Henrichs. And there has been no link to this player. Just want to make that clear, as well as I do get a lot of questions from people asking, have we been linked with X player? Have we not been linked with X player? What's the situation? No, we haven't been linked with this player. This is a scouting series to look at the type of player that he is, how he may fit into an Unai Emery system, if Unai Emery is going to look to strengthen in the right back position, which I have a sneaking suspicion that while it may not happen in the summer, it may happen in January, just with the advancing age of Ashley Young as it is. But who is Benjamin Henrichs? So he's had a bit of a storied career. He was really highly thought of as a youth player. He actually started off his career in midfield as more of a central midfielder, right-sided central midfielder. He drew comparisons to Frank Lampard, would you believe, when he was younger. And he was captain of German under-19 and the German under-20 team when he was really young. I think he was captain of the German under-19 team when he was like 17 or something like that. But citation needed on that. That's just from memory here. But he started off his career with Leverkusen. And he started off his career, guy's first cap for Leverkusen in 2015. Played 62 league games for Leverkusen before moving to Monaco in 2018, where he played 35 games, and he then moved on loan to RB Leipzig, where he's been with them since. So why am I talking about this guy here? And I think the reason I wanted to talk about Benjamin Henrichs is that it's because of his versatility. Unai Emery so if we want to replace, so realistically what I'm talking about here is, are we going to replace like for like with an Ashley Young or with a Matty Cash, or what are we going to look at? Are we going to look at a different type of player? And with somebody like Benjamin Henrichs, the versatility he has is fantastic. His height, it's difficult to get a correct height on him. His height range is anywhere from about 5'10" and a half up to 6 foot. I think from looking at him play football, he's closer to the 6 foot. He's a bit more of a rangier, taller type of guy. But what is like during his career, he's actually played in centre half. He's played in as a third centre half as well, and the right hand side. He's played as that right side fullback, which he's played most of his career. He's played as a central defensive midfielder, and he's also played as a right wing back as well. So he's got a lot of versatility. He's good with the ball at his feet. He could be a small bit better for somebody who's played in midfield all his life, but he's very good at the ball at his feet, and he brings that extra little bit of height. He's 26 years of age. He turned 26 on the 23rd of February, just gone. And I know he's on the older side of maybe a prospect I would be looking at if we were to bring somebody in. Just for longevity reasons, realistically speaking, if we were to sign somebody at 26, 27 years of age, while they're in their prime, and I fully understand that, and that's not what I'm getting at here. When you're looking at the contract lengths and maybe the length of contract that we would be able to offer a player at 26, 27, you're probably looking at one year or one contract, and then maybe an extra year onto the end, because you're getting into the 32, 33 years of age. And I know that we've got the Iron Man himself in Ashley Young playing at right back at the moment. But from an age point of view, 26 will probably be on the upper limit of somebody I would be looking to bring in, because, as I say, there will be a rotational aspect to the right back position, I would imagine, should Matty Cash take that position, and all things point to that being the case at the moment. Now, saying that, On the 25th of March 2023, Matty Cash got injured last night playing for Poland. We don't know how bad that injury is. I haven't even seen what it's supposed to be, whether it's a sprain, whether it's a hamstring injury, whatever the case it is. I'm just going to take a look at the comments because this is live. It's not a it's not a pre-recorded one today. This is live, and it is going to be a bit shorter than normal. But I thought one of you guys maybe had it in the comments as to what Matty Cash's injury was. But he did get injured last night. And unfortunately, I haven't seen anyway, should I say, what his potential injury is. So we are now going to be in a situation whereby potentially he's going to be out. But getting back to the man at hand here, Henrichs was superbly well thought of. You know, even within international in the international scene. If you think about him, he's kind of like a. It's kind of like a James Milner type, I suppose, really, of the German international scene, except he hasn't had that real massive breakthrough with the seniors. So at under 21 level, he played 17 games. As I say, he was captain of the under 19 team as well. He went to the Olympics and the German Olympic team in 2021, and he's got 7 caps with Germany. He earned 2 caps last season as well. Didn't make it to the World Cup. I don't think he made it to the World Cup with Germany this year, but he's a very, very talented player, and he's got lots and lots of versatility, as I say. But let's take a little look at his statistics. Let's take a little look at him here, and I will try and add him to the screen. Let's see if I can make this new layout that I made work. Oh, that's a bit better. Makes it a bit bigger, a bit easier for you guys to see what I'm talking about here. So, as I said, Benjamin Henrichs, he is a 26-year-old German international playing with RB Leipzig at the moment. When we take a little look at his statistics here, first of all, I want to point you towards his heat map. And what I find really interesting about this heat map is his ability to come narrow. And what we can see here is, yes, he's able to go wide, and you can see by his heat map here, he does get to the edge of the box. He does deliver crosses. He's not like the guy that we looked at yesterday, Sugawara, whereby he can attack the box like Alex Moreno does on the opposite side. This guy will definitely stalk the box on the right-hand side. But what I want to draw your attention to is, see the way he's able to move inside and how he occupies internal areas there as well. He's able to kind of, so if we're talking about somebody that Unai Emery might want to come narrow when we attack down the left-hand side, albeit he's not a centre half by trade, he does come narrow. He has been a defensive midfielder in the not too distant past. Actually, while he played with Monaco, Leonardo Yardim made actually played him at central defensive midfielder a couple of times, but since he's gone to RB Leipzig, he's been predominantly right back or right wing back as well. Played under Nagelsmann, somebody who's in the news an awful lot at the moment, and he played there at that right back position for them. But he does have the ability to come narrow, to come deep if we are attacking on the left-hand side. Something that it's been rumoured that Unai Emery likes to see, because we've seen that at previously at Villarreal. And granted, and this is somebody we will be looking at again in a future podcast, potentially tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Monday. But like when he was with Villarreal, when Unai Emery was with Villarreal, he had one fight. He had Fight that used to play out there on the right-hand side. The Argentinian former Spurs player was a converted centre half who's gone out the right back. So I think that was a horses for courses situation whereby it was easier for him to come narrow and play there. And we will take a look at him because he's not just that type of player, but we will take a look at him in a future one because I have a piece done in him. But getting back to Ben Henrichs, that's what he brings to you here. He gives you that versatility, that ability to be able to come into midfield, to be able to tighten up a midfield area, to be able to, if we need to drop and go 3 at the back, to be able to do that, where he's able to move back in tighter into the centre half as well. But he also gives you that bit of range going forward. As I say, he's good. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He just doesn't burst into the box like the previous players that we mentioned did. So looking at his statistics here in the radial graph, we can see him there in yellow. He's very good tackler, very proficient tackler, which is something that I like to see. Very, very good in the top 14% in Europe in blocks, top 14% in Europe in interceptions. Very good ability to tackle a dribbler as well. One of the things that I would say about him is that he commits quite a lot of fouls, as we can see there. but I don't have a statistic of where he commits those fouls. I meant to look it up beforehand, but I completely forgot. So I don't know whether he commits them around the box or in midfield or whatever that case is. I might try and circle back and get that as well. So looking as well here, he gives us a bit of an added height bonus as well with that aerial duels statistic. But look what we see here. He has 1.76 tackles in the defensive third and 1.19 tackles in the midfield third. That puts him in an elite category of right back from a defensive point of view, based on those numbers in the top 5 leagues in Europe. So if you are defending, if you are backs to the wall with this guy, he's going to be able to do that in both the defensive and the midfield third as well. Now we go into his passing statistics. Now I've been speaking here a moment ago saying he's a former midfielder, that he was likened to the 17-year-old, to a Frank Lampard type. He's obviously transitioned back and moved back through the lines, and that's okay too. He's had 59.35 pass attempts with a pass completion percentage of 75.8%. Now, once again, I think this might be something I'm gonna notice. I think this is something I'm going to notice more and more as I go through right backs and left backs. They don't look like they lose the ball as much as they do on tape. So I don't notice this guy losing the ball when I watch him. Not to a great degree, not any more than I would an Ashley Young or a Matty Cash, let's say. I wouldn't know. I haven't noticed him lose the ball anymore, and he comes in with the same pass completion statistic as those guys there. So I'm wondering, is it a thing with fullbacks whereby it's not as noticeable because it doesn't have that deleterious effect as well? But I'll keep an eye on it as well. Looking at his key passes, his shot creating actions, his goal creating actions, they all come in quite average, except for his shot creating actions are up there at 2.23. That's a lot of that is because he has a very, very good cross on him as well. And when we look at his possession statistics here, dribble stats, dribble completion statistics, all in and around the kind of third percentile of right backs within Europe. But one thing I do want to bring your attention to is his ball recoveries at 6.33. It puts him up there as I think it's the exact same number as Ashley Young, if I'm not mistaken. It could be maybe a percentage point out on that, but his ball recoveries are one of his main attributes, and he's really good at recovering the ball. He doesn't dive into tackles, albeit that he can block he's got a big rangy frame. He knows how to use it. One negative I would say on him as well is that, like, and I've said this before, I'm not a guy who's 6 foot. I'm not. I wish I was. 6 foot, but I'm not. And I can't understand people who are that height that don't know how to use their body, how to use their frame, how to use their weight, how to block people off, how to shadow people, how to almost play like a basketball player. When basketball players kind of post up and they make themselves big so that people can't get around them to rob the ball. I can never understand how footballers aren't able to do that. One thing I do see with him here is that he doesn't use his body to that effect. He's much more relies on his athleticism and the fact that he's a nimble player to be able to wriggle out of situations, as opposed to be able to, because he's a considerable man. Like, he would be able to maneuver people around with his body, a la John McGinn. Great, actually, there's a great little tangent on this one. John McGinn's not a big man, but John McGinn knows how to use his posterior as a bumper. So he can bump people out of the way, he can maneuver people around, and he can shift his body weight to be able to throw people off. Majority of players can't do that. And I find it difficult to understand how it isn't taught, or how somebody hasn't found a way to be able to kind of instill that in players. Another guy who's really good at it is Harry Kane, albeit I know that people are going to start saying that Harry Kane fouls 90% of the time when he does that, and he shouldn't do it in the air. But he's very good at manipulating his body. And defenders, I would imagine, you see the big strapping defenders. Richard Dunn was really good at it, utilizing his body. But for somebody like Henrichs, who played in midfield, has transitioned back to a right back position, I'd like to see him be able to do it a small bit more. Because he is a bigger bodied person, he should be able to do that. From the point of view, I suppose, other kind of notes that I have on him here are As I said, he's a very versatile player. He can play in all the positions in the back line as well as in central midfield, if you need to, in the central defensive midfield position if you need to. And he is very good defensively, and we can see that from his statistics here. He's got a good physical profile, as I mentioned there. He's a 6 foot right back. I've got 5'11 and a half. I kind of split it down the middle there because I couldn't find I couldn't find a definitive height on him as well. As I've said, he's a big tall guy, but he's slender. He's not a a robust guy, but he is slender. And as I say, I still think he should be able to utilize his body a small little bit more. Where else have I here? He does need to improve on how to use his body to shield or to block players off the ball. He's very agile. One thing, actually, I watched the game when he played with Monaco. He played right back and he fronted up. In Neymar, and I think it was probably 19. Sorry, I think it could be 2019 when they played. And he was relatively young, so he was only 22 years of age, and he showed an unbelievable ability to be able to swivel his hips. So when Neymar was bearing down on him, dribbling with the ball, Henrichs was able to swivel his hips and match and mirror his motion really well. And I saw that from Monaco, and I've seen that then again in the Bundesliga, but I can't remember what game it was. So it seems to be a feature of his game where he's very, very nimble, very agile type defender who can mimic and can anticipate movements, even from some of the best dribblers in the world. And I brought up Neymar because it just struck me about how he did it when he faced up against Neymar at a younger age. So I thought that was interesting as well. He's, as I say, one of the concerns I think I have is that he does commit a lot of fouls. He does commit a lot of fouls. You can see him there. He's in the bottom 14% of fouls committed for right backs. I would like to see, and I didn't have that previously, I would like to see where he commits those fouls in the field. But it's important to kind of highlight these areas as well that he would need to brush up on as well. One other thing is that while he doesn't get too far forward, sometimes he does like we spoken about players previously that get stuck in a transition, stuck too far forward. He doesn't get stuck too far forward, but he tries to win the ball. So he almost tries to take if he loses the ball, he tries to press and win it back straight away, as opposed to funneling back and regrouping again. In transition, sometimes that can catch him, and against better players, against really much better teams, he might get caught out once or twice like that over the course of a season. But I don't think it's too much really to be to give out about. He crosses the ball at a decent clip there. He's mid-table for that at 41%, 2.38 crosses per game, but not much different than Matty Cash or Ashley Young at the moment. And as I say, we're looking at the type of player here. I know he fits in as opposed to the player himself, but we will obviously talk about the player as well. But I'd like his crosses to be a small bit better. We spoke about Sugawara yesterday, whereby his crosses were whipped in. They had a lot of pace in them, and it was just a beautiful cross to the ball. Bit floaty from Henrichs. The crossing is a bit floaty, but as I say, he still creates lots of shots and decent amount of shots, should I say, decent amount of goal creating actions from them as well. So one other thing as well, as I say, and I think this is big for Unai Emery. So we're obviously playing out from the back. This type of player, and why I've highlighted him, is because he was a prodigious central midfielder who's moved back into a right back position as he's gotten older. Or not even older, he's only 26. But as he's kind of gotten on in years, he's really good at passing under pressure. That's one of his biggest strengths. Passing under pressure is really easy to him. I would go so far to say as he's up there with the Boubacar Kamara level of being able to pass that ball under pressure. So when someone's bearing down on him, he's able to evade it, pass that ball away. I think Unai Emery would really like somebody who is able to do that. Look, there is no link to this guy. I don't know if I presume Villa are not going to sign him. If they do sign him, sign me up to be a Mystic Meg. But the type of player that's able to do that, I think, is interesting. and something that I think we should bear in mind if we were looking at fullbacks. The ability to be able to be comfortable with the ball, to be good under pressure, passing the ball, and this guy brings a bit of height. And as we can see here from his statistics, he's a really, really good and solid defender. Playing for a very, very good team in RB Leipzig, playing in the Champions League. His current value is about 15 million euros. As I say, for that versatility that he offers as well, being able to play further inside as a right central back, right centre back, maybe even playing in the central defensive midfield position in a pinch as well. I think that offers quite a lot of positives. So that's going to do it for today's little scouting series. As I say, today's function, or the reason for doing today's podcast was to look at somebody who was very, very functional, who could play in different positions across the back four, I suppose, really. Well, on the right-hand side of the back four, into right wing back, and also into defensive midfielder position as well. I wanted to highlight Benjamin Henrichs because he's somebody who has kind of gone under the radar for Germany. He's a real solid player. We've had absolutely no links to him, but he was somebody I thought that encapsulated, I suppose, this type of player very, very well, considering he was prodigious as a central midfielder, as I say, when he was younger, and has moved back into this role, a la an Ashley Young. So, on that note, I'm going to leave everybody. Today is Saturday, as I say, so I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I potentially will be back again tomorrow to highlight another type of right back that I think will be interesting to Unai Emery, somebody who's worked with Unai Emery before. And as I say, I hope you're enjoying these scouting series. If you do, give it a thumbs up, share it around to any of your mates, and subscribe to the podcast if you do like this as well. So until tomorrow, or maybe Monday, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.